G'day, James Greenshields from the Centre of Resilient Leadership. This is a message to throw out to all dads out there. One of the most enjoyable programs that we run here at the Centre of Resilient Leadership is a thing called the Young Warrior Program. It helps young boys become young men, do that transition. Now, the ancients, they used to use not only the father, but the uncle, the grandfather, and many other males within the tribe. Because a boy, to go from boyhood to manhood, needs about 20 well-balanced role models. Now, in the West, we don't have that. So what we do is we assist the young men get training to understand things like their personal, authentic leadership style, how their emotions work, and how to best utilise them instead of getting ruled by them, how to work as a team and build self-confidence. I was having a chat to parents just before one of the programs we're running in a school at the moment. And I threw this back to the families, and we were talking, and they said, I've got a couple of my boys, not just boys, but also the girls, that are really angry at the moment, but particularly boys are really angry at the moment, and they're venting, and it's coming out in a very disrespectful way. And we're just talking through that, explaining that, there's a need for a respectful boundary. You don't cross that disrespectful mark when you release your emotion, because you control three things in life: your thoughts, your words, your deeds. Those three things alone. But you don't try and throw your emotion onto me, because that's a gift that I will not have. Now, a lot of parents will allow their children just to run straight over them. What you're teaching them is that they can get away with it. They can run over people that they love. And that will affect them not only now, but also into the future. The big thing about boundaries is that they need to be set in a firm, respectful way, but also followed up with love. Quite often our children, they vent and they just go ballistic, and then they get scolded and sent to their room. But that's just suppressing it. That's not explaining how to release this emotion inside them in an appropriate fashion and get to the reason why it's come up. Anger's all about your personal boundaries have been violated, or your expectations of the world haven't been met. So it's calling you to action. It's saying, hey, change the situation. But sometimes they just don't understand it. It's just so intense, they just let it out. And so you destroy around you, a lot of collateral damage around them. My question, though, is to the parents. This is often indicative of the environment that's set within the family. Now, children, they pick up, they're very sensitive to what's going on around them. In medical science now knows that the fetus is monitoring not only what's happening to its mother, but also to the environment around the mother, and will pick up on it really, really quickly. Now, if you have, as a man, as a father, and this message is out there to fathers, if you've got suppressed emotion, your children will pick up on it. If you don't express anger, then your children will pick up on it. Now, I say don't express anger. The key to this is express it in an appropriate way. So, one of the things I do in large-scale workshops is, especially when it's a mixed environment, both men and women, I get the men, I ask them this one question, and if they say yes, I get them to put up their hand. And then I get the women to have a look at not the faces, but how many hands go up. And I ask them this question: if you were to release all the anger inside you, who knows that you could hurt someone? Now, 95% of men will raise their hand. And it astounds women. But 95% of men will raise their hand. Now, most men are doing the most honourable thing they know how. And that's just try and keep a lid on it. But what happens is you go ballistic over a trivial event. You get into an argument instead of a discussion. You do something out of an instant, a snap explosion that you really regret. Come home, trip over the scooter and go ballistic. Anything like that is because of all this emotion suppressed inside. I'm here to tell you there's another way, and that's to release it. On my YouTube channel, there's an anger release tutorial there that takes you through one of the processes. But in Awakening the Warrior Within, we take men right into this. Get them to understand what anger is telling them so they can use it instead of being abused by it, and release all that suppressed stuff that they no longer need, so they can go in and really bond it and have a level of trust. If you have suppressed anger, your level of trust with those around you will be not close. It can't be. It's going to be at a distance because this anger is between you. It's suppressed. Now, some people will say, I don't do anger. Most of them will have what's referred to as passive aggressiveness. Passive aggressive is where you stew on things. This goes over and over and over inside you. Or you throw that snide remark out that's laced with sarcasm and just cut someone off at the knees. often a passive-aggressive person will have a negative outlook on life. Why? Because that emotion is just bubbling under the surface. The thing to do is, firstly, is just to acknowledge it's anger. It's all you have to do. There's nothing wrong with that. And then go towards releasing it. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you take your sons and you help them appropriate express anger, and you turn around and you admit your fallibility as a dad and say, hey, listen, I've had anger issues and I'm going to do something about it. How much of a leader are you? I call on dads, all dads, understand anger. Get in touch with it. Release it appropriately. Bond with our kids in a way that they need us right now. Take a lead and set the environment. If you need help with this, Awakening the Warrior Within program will do it for you. Our next one's the 12th to the 15th of March in Heaton State Forest, Newcastle. One straight after that in May, early May, 6th to the 9th of May, up here at Mount Jerusalem National Park in the Tweed Coast hinterland. Registrations for the March one in Newcastle close on Thursday. Get in touch with me, James at jamesgreenshields.com, and I'll see you up the hill.